this is another video of Road 360 Infinity, and we out here in Japan. So I'm trying to not be in the way. I know I'm pretty late with this video, having a hard time get things done on time. As promised for myself, making a video about February. My name is Kaide, and yeah, this is Road to Infinity, where we basically go through my journey in dance, my journey towards self-actualization. And as I'm moving to a bit quieter place, I figured that I'm just gonna start with taking you through the highlights of February. So today is Tuesday, 6th of February, 2024. I have already been to House Dance Forever. Yeah, another year, another attempt to qualify for the top 24. I didn't manage this time either. It can get to you. And this is where, like, in my practice specifically, I need to remind myself that I am not dancing only for this event or only for battles. It is a fuel in my engine that keeps me also going and keeps me looking for ways to grow and develop. I just need to be aware that this is not my main source of motivation to do what I do, to dance. Having done the pre-selection and stepping out of those 45 seconds and feeling like already there, feeling that it's not gonna happen this year. I don't know if I already sent that out in the universe and that kind of like, it hurt me. But it was also not only about the result per se, but it was me not feeling great after like having done a pre-selection. Because at the end of the day, the top 24 or who passes a pre-selection is beyond me. Is people sitting in a position where they pick out who they think performed the best out of 200 and something dancers. But I still want to feel great when I am dancing for 45 seconds. And I felt that I was trying to share my voice. I was trying to do a good round, to do a good pre-selection. And then of course, on top of that, I didn't pass pre-selection, so then it felt even more sour. But I just had to digest what happened, and then I enjoyed the rest of the event. I enjoyed stepping onto the floor and being supportive of my friends, and that did get the opportunity to share their voice, and that's also beautiful. What was positive was that somebody sent me a video of the pre-selection I did. I was actually happy with what I saw, and that in itself, I felt like a little nice bonus during this weekend. Normally I tend to want to prepare a lot, but now I was trying to also be content with the fact that I'm always practicing and always in a way preparing, so that I am prepared. Try to find a balance of preparation, not too relaxed but not overly obsessed with needing to have my day in a specific way in order to be the best version of myself. Ooh. All right, so after having done my practice now, so today is 9th of February, which means that I'm just counting down now. It's almost closing into 2 weeks left until I go to Japan. I'm gonna be there for almost 2 months. I'm gonna constantly be on the move. It's gonna be tight on like space. Here I at least have space to do my practice as I want. I might not be looking at, again, like the full practice, but maybe I'll be able to find a compressed version that can be done daily, so I still keep everything up, and that it's flexible, so they can be carried out wherever I am. Because if I'm staying at a hostel, maybe just around that little like a hallway, if I can find and if they would allow it, that's a thought. And that's it. Today is 11th of February, and I'm heading up north of Sweden. So right now I'm in Gothenburg. In Gothenburg, I'm going to take the bus to the airport to fly up north to a city called Östersund, where I'm going to be 2 weeks for a project. And that's the last project that I'm doing before it's time for me to head to Japan. Jesus, I'm counting down. But yeah, so on the road once more. Today is one of those days. So I've been working with a project today. So I spent most of the day doing that. But I've had this inspiration since the weekend, because I watched a bunch of videos about productivity, about the benefits of getting up 5 a.m. in the morning, things related to practice. Like, it was just a lot of motivational videos that I saw, and it made me want to then jump back into, okay, how does my schedule, like my practice and work schedule look at like currently, and then my work as a freelancer. So that means that I pretty much need to set up my time on my own. All this information has been going through my mind, and where I'm like, how do I want the days to look like? And that involves my practice and my work. What's fun about this is that it never ends, in the sense of there's always an update. There's always like, okay, I make this version and I'm gonna try it for a period, and then there'll be a period where I'm thinking, okay, now my focus is shifting towards something, and then I need to adjust my schedule accordingly. And I think it's good to have that change of dynamics, and like to keep your schedule or your schedule organic, to also not get too ambitious or over ambitious, which tends to happen to me. Is I write down a schedule that could be done, but it's not really realistic, because I cut out all times that I would have for myself to really relax and do other things. Also thanks to Wesley, who I just spoke with about setting boundaries in your schedule, in your week as a freelancer. I only have so much time, so I need to be able to set working hours, get the habit in to have certain times where I get things done, and then to give myself a few hours before the end of the day to really do something that doesn't require much work from me. Today is the 13th of February. I've been so lost in my practice, and that it's been so sporadic and not without an aim or a set intention. And since I started this Road to Infinity, that started to get a shape, and now I have that. So my practice is good, and it always, like, again, it's dynamic, and I'm trying to just see where am I at currently, and where do I want to put in my focus. But there is a base that I can easily tweak. Today is 16th of February. Most of the things that I talk about and that I communicate and that I share is my practice. Of course, that is what this whole channel is about. This whole Road to Infinity is basically me developing my art of practice, a deeper understanding of the art of practice and what comes with it. But also my practice is my work. So the time I spend on my practice, the time I spend is my working hours that I'm loving. But something that I also do as a freelancer is creating opportunities for myself in order to be able to do this for a living. And that requires a lot of time, for me at least. I don't know how others work, but for me it requires a lot of time in front of the laptop, writing applications for fundings or for grants, applying for open calls to hopefully get access or to get the opportunity to have a residency, to create a performance, editing videos, whether it's dance videos or these videos, the whole Road to Infinity, the Art of Practice videos that I do. Apart from physical work, like physical practice, performances, battles, teaching, there's a lot of writing and sitting in front of the laptop and thinking. It's Friday today, and I finished my first out of 2 weeks. So the first week up north in Östersund, where I'm working with a project called Tänk. So that in English would be think. It's been super fun. I will probably take a moment at some point to talk further about what this project was about and what we were doing, so really properly sharing, but at least today marks end of the week. I feel like I just had what I was gonna share. Well, I can start off by saying that last week I felt like inspired to get back to like a routine of getting up early in the morning, and so I've set my alarm at 5:30 in the morning, which has been hard to get up like right away. I have at least gotten up at around 6, the latest, around 6, and then started my morning practice around 10 past 6, quarter past 6 latest. All last week, Monday to Friday, I did that. It feels good, and then on the weekend, I allowed myself to get up when I needed to get up. So kind of like treating it as a regular job, but I'm getting to do what I love. I'm the kind of person that needs that structure. So getting up that early, get to work, feels good. And it's hard to find that routine of getting to bed early in order to get the right amount of hours of sleep. But I think it's a matter of getting used to it. I'm flying to Japan on Sunday. I can give it a try to keep that early morning routine. Maybe it'll be for the better, but so we'll see what happens. But at least it's something I wanna have, this routine, so hopefully we'll find consistency in it. I've been working with this dance project up here in Östersund. It's a project that involves the organization that I'm working with, Estrad Norr, and they reached out to schools and gave them the assignment to pick a theme and then to come up with as many words as possible connected to that theme. We then received these themes and these words connected to them, and then our task is to create a video for each school and for each theme. Everything is based on improvisation, and I really am enjoying myself. So this is a project that I'm working with. This is the last week, and then, like I said before, it's off to Japan. When it comes to going to Japan, I think my biggest concern is how to keep my practice consistent, or at least the amount of practice that I'm doing, because I'm focusing on 4 different areas. So I have my morning routine, which is the morning practice. Then I have my Leviathan Flow practice, which is my personal practice, catered to myself. And then I have the dance practice, which is then again putting the work into house dance, and then just leveling up my my skills, understanding and execution of it. And then the last part is the physical practice. So I need to keep my body strong. So these are the 4 areas that I'm focusing on when it comes to practice, and it's a lot. And then in Japan for almost 2 months, it's how am I gonna keep this up? I'm always able to do what I set my mind on, but I don't know how much space I'm gonna have wherever I'm gonna be. I still want to have a enjoyable time in Japan, but again, I want to keep a certain consistency. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a look at my practice and set a bare minimum of what I want to achieve every day, and then see if I can keep that consistent. A lot of the work that I'm doing doesn't necessarily require a lot of space, so as long as I have space, I can do it. As long as it doesn't bother anybody, I think it's gonna work out, but I just need to modify and then also check what is the most important thing within my practice that I need to keep consistent, and then to get to it. Excited for Japan. So today is the last day. Oh well, yesterday was my last day working with this project that I'm doing up in Östersund. So this project was a very fun project, and yesterday was the last day. So today I'm basically just now getting ready to soon go to the airport to then fly back to where I live in Sweden on Sunday. So today is Friday, 23rd of Feb, which means that on Sunday, 25th of Feb, I fly to Japan and I'll arrive on Monday, 26th. I'm just, it's like the reminder to take in and acknowledge the good things that I get to be part of, what I'm about to get to experience. Time to really enjoy, because it's easy to get caught up on like, okay, I need to do this or I'm gonna do that, regardless if it's fun or not. But you know, the things that we are gonna do, and in the process of getting these done, and then the time flies because you're so busy doing, and then the moment's gone, and then these are like maybe things that you were looking forward to or were desiring years back in your journey or in your process. That's the case for me, like to be a full-time like freelancer and only work with dance or only do projects related to dance. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. Like, you don't see always the growth or the steps that you take in life, and it's not only until you start to maybe compare where you were like years ago, or when you have to really think back. Don't take these things for granted, kind of. But yeah.
Currently we're in Shinjuku, where I'm heading over to a cafe, a chain that I normally sit at to work. What you just got to see was the highlights for February. It is a working point to document more what it is that I'm doing. And that's something I saw that I used to do more in Road 35 to Infinity. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to, talk myself down, because the fact that I'm doing these videos is still a step in the way. But I can do better. I will do better for myself, just to document my journey a bit more accurate. So next up, what I want to share is the Taskmaster segment. So the Taskmaster is basically me giving myself tasks for the month to carry out. And it can be anything really related to my me reaching my goals. What I had set for January and February was to continue with my footwork library, which I in January had completely failed miserably. In February, I did better. I did a couple, and I just noticed like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to sit, watch through these practices, look at myself just experimenting with footwork foundations, and then to pick out segments that I feel like, oh, this is a potential variation or potential, to refine and to improve and to really memorize. And yeah, it's a continuous work, so I still have a lot of videos to do. But what I'm gonna give myself as a task for the coming month, which is month of March, April, is to start picking one foundation that I'm gonna start refining amongst the 5 that I've chosen. Initially, I would want to give myself the task to do one per foundation, but knowing how it's gone so far, I'm just gonna say I'm gonna refine one footwork of the ones that I've chosen so far, and maybe do a little tutorial to share it, because that's a nice little bonus way of working with it. If I get to more footwork, that's just a bonus. But I'm gonna do one footwork foundation that I'm gonna refine out of the ones that I've picked out so far. I need to check where I'm going. It's a nice way of watching through your footage, so that you record your practice, you look through it, and with the intention to find things that you like. Not focus on things that you don't like, because that's not helpful, but to focus on things that you like, things that have potential. So you pick those out, you collect them in a folder separately, and then you start getting to work. That's something I can definitely recommend doing. And now I'm gonna find the place where I wanna sit and work, and hopefully just continue with this video. So trip down memory lane is the next segment. So now I've managed to sit down at a coffee place I hope that the sound is good enough because I'm trying not to talk too loud. Trip down memory lane where I've been watching my videos from last year to kind of like see what can I learn from myself. It's a nice way to see where I am during a similar time of the year, but how things have either changed or how things are the same, or like if I've gone to a certain event two years in a row, how are they different? The first week of Feb last year, it was the same as this year. It was the House Dance Forever preparations and then the execution, the performance. Something that was different, and this is something I'm noticing overall, but something that was very different from last year's House Dance Forever versus this year's House Dance Forever was that last year I was really in a state of wanting to prepare. Preparation was everything for me. Last year I was really trying to find battle preparation mode, which has been hard. It's still hard. Like I'm able to practice in general, but when it comes to practicing specifically for a battle, then that's been a bit harder for me. But I know that probably this is how a lot of people prepare, like in their practice. There's a battle coming up, they get ready for that specifically and adjust their practice accordingly. This year when I went to House Dance Forever, I was very much in a laid-back mode. So I've hit now on each opposite ends of this. Like last year I was overly preparing, I feel, and this year I was almost not preparing at all. So I'm hoping then for the next, for Summer Dance, like any battle coming up, maybe to find that balance of like, don't want to be overly like ambitious, putting too much focus on preparations, but also not to be too relaxed, because still it's a battle, it's a competition that I'm entering, so I need to be in a specific state. This is something that I'm actually curious to like talk about with people that are prominent figures within the battle scene, like people that are like on the top percentage, and to see how they do, because now this is just me, one out of many, and I'm just curious to hear how other people prepare. So hopefully I'm gonna be able to have a conversation about it with somebody. And something that was last year after House Dance Forever was that I got really inspired by Mavinga, who had shared a video where she kind of like talked about her road to Summer Dance Forever and how she prepared. She was the one that got me motivated to practice with weights. So February last year, where I started to get my hands on weights, whether it was like a weighted vest or ankle or wrist weights. I haven't trained with these tools as much as I had imagined, but they're still there, and of course it's been the issue that I've been on the road quite a lot, so these are things that I don't necessarily feel super motivated to bring with me everywhere I go, because I also travel with limited amount of weights capacity, so to bring in a 10 kilo vest with me doesn't sound too appealing or these wrist and ankle weights. Going into the second week of February last year, so we're talking about 2023, this was a time when I also started choosing my foundations that I was gonna focus on. The whole choosing your footwork was inspired I was inspired to do so after a conversation with Joel from In The House, because I was already in a state where I wanted to like start practicing my footwork and to kind of like set up a system that could be repeated and to be consistent with, because again, within house there's a lot of footwork. I remember that in the video that I made when I was gonna pick my footwork, I think I mentioned that I had like around I want to say 30 footwork foundations that I had written down. And I mean, of course, some of those were variations of one another, but still, that I had a long list. I wanted to make my practice more condensed. I got inspired to pick 10 foundations, and then to start off by working on 5, and then with time the idea was going to be to then add the remaining 5, so that in total I would have 10 that I would work on mastering. My initial plan was to work on the 5 chosen foundations for like 2-3 months and then add 5, but I haven't even gotten to adding the remaining 5 because I feel like I still am not as comfortable. I don't feel like I've reached a step closer to mastering the 5 that I've chosen, and I feel like I still want to dedicate more time on just focusing on those 5. But maybe later during 2024 I'll add the other 5, because the 5 that I've chosen I feel good with, even though there might be 1 or 2 in here that I have been tempted to swap for others, to stay committed to the 5 that I've chosen, but the other 5 to take a second look at those and maybe do a rethinking for the time when I actually do end up adding those. Oh, I wrote that I had a hard time last year even saying mastering something. Just that word, like, even though we can work towards mastery, and that mastery is like a level, like that's the top, no? Like when you master something, that's the top level of something. That's not something that's gonna happen within a year. This is maybe where we're talking about 10 years dedicating to a specific practice, then we're getting closer maybe to a mastery. And then it's not about whether or not I'm gonna reach it at the end of the day, but it's maybe the curiosity to see how close can I get to it. Then we go into my 3rd week. I had an inflamed elbow, I remember, or I also saw from the video, and I was struggling with practice a bit. I also noticed that in my overall practice videos, I noticed that I had a very varied genre of music that I would practice to. So even though my focus is spent on practicing house dance, I wouldn't necessarily always practice to house music, which I feel was very enjoyable because it gave me a very dynamic practice. And I also enjoyed what it did to my house dance practice, because I'm choosing a different type of music. It also allows me to move differently. So that's something I want to continue doing, and I think to consciously enter a practice when I practice house dance, and then to play around with different genre of music. Again, it does something. It does something interesting, and I enjoy it, because then if you pick music outside of house and then you practice with it, see what that does and register what it does to you, and then later you go back to practicing with house music and to see how you can carry on that sensation that you found translate into house music. That's something I am very curious about, so I want to do more of that. Looking at my footage from last year was that I was sharing a lot, I was teaching a lot, and that is something that I miss. So I want to find a way to do that now, and maybe to start teaching online. So if you're watching this and you would be interested in doing online classes with me, let me know in the comments below. Would that be of interest for you? And something that was also different last year from now is that in my weekly videos, I would show footage from my actual practices, which I am not doing now, because every time I film my practices, they're done in a time lapse. And something I've been thinking about for the year for next year is that if anything, I think I want to film so that if there's anything also specific I want to share. But yeah, that's something that's different, the way I'm sharing, because now it's mostly me talking. That's basically it. So February was started with House Dance Forever, and then it was basically entering a new state of practice. So it went into specifying my house dance footwork practice. I chose 5 specific footwork. I also started my practice with weights, and I also noticed that I was practicing a lot to different types of music. So that was pretty much like February last year. That was trip down memory lane. What I noticed with practice, or when you're doing something for a long time, there are the phases of your practices being like you feel inspired and you do things in your practice that you notice is pushing you like upwards, and then there are moments where you feel like not much is happening. And despite me experiencing a lot of things, like for example being in Japan lately, I've been feeling that when it comes to my actual dance practice, I feel like I'm in a place now where I've either reached a sense of comfort. Like, it's an interesting thing to be aware of, because comfort means that I'm, as it sounds like, I feel comfortable with my practice, feel good about my practice. But when I then, for example, where I'm getting to perform, or I'm getting to test my dance or to use my dance, this is where like I might feel like, oh, I'm feeling not stuck, but I feel like I'm not elevating as much as I was doing a while back. So that's something that's a state where I am at the moment, and it's something to just look into. I'm really trying not to feel bad about it. I'm really trying not to judge it, and more to be aware of what is happening, and then if it's something I'm not happy with, to implement the changes needed for me to then remain or become happy with what I'm doing. I hope everybody is enjoying their practice. If there's any questions or any thoughts about these videos or about practice in general, please let me know in the comments below, and I will try to address them. I'm also hoping that everybody is enjoying the content that I'm creating. I'm also, parallel to these videos, I'm doing the art of practice, where I'm diving into specific topics. So if there's anything there that you're curious about or want to know more about, also let me know in the comments below. And what I would like to ask you to do, if you're watching these videos and you do enjoy them, please give them a like, because from my understanding, that does make a difference in terms of my reach. And other than that, I really hope that you're enjoying your practice, enjoying your journey, and that you're remaining curious about how good you can get. So unlocking your true potential. So with that said, my name is Kaide, and I'll see you in the next video.